morning to all of you. Welcome to the third edition of the Digital Architect Conclave 2025. Nimmellarigo NIIT StackRoute Parvagi Suswagata Namaskara Hridayapurva Suswagata. So welcome again to the third edition of the Digital Architect Conclave 2025. This is our collective pursuit to shape, sharpen and share what it means to architect in an era of emergence. And at NIIT StackRoute, we build business aligned talent capabilities, and architect programs have been one of our flagship interventions, having enabled more than 3,000 architects over about 15 plus organizations and having won numerous prestigious awards. Our interventions continue to foster tech leaders across data, cloud, automation and enterprise-wide transformation. And to support this community, we created the Digital Architect Conclave, a forum that brings together all our architects to explore the evolving nature of architecture today. And the minute we say it's an evolving nature, can somebody help move the slides? And because I said it's evolving nature of architecture, and that is why this kind of theme that we have today, which is architecting for emergence. At the first go, it may sound a little paradoxical. It is architecting and emergence, because architecture on one hand will tell you structure, stability, planning, control and all of that, and emergence on the other hand will tell you spontaneity, change, complexity. On the first go, it may sound paradoxical, but this has been crafted with a lot of care. Because architecture of today, as we all know, is gone beyond just delivering for predefined outcomes and stability. It has to create the conditions for emergence, and which is when it becomes emergent architectures, because the structure must give rise to spontaneity, or the spontaneity should give rise to that structure, and the intent must give rise to a lot of innovation. And then we see emergent architectures that anticipate change, that are designed for possibilities and that emerge from convergence. And to really architect for emergence, the point also is to bring together the mindset, the purpose and the impact, and which is when we are able to architect to the scale with intelligence, impact and influence. Intelligence, as we all know, is a technical and the architectural mindset, the foundational know-how for an architect. And when this gets applied with purpose, it becomes impact. And influence is pretty much, to me, closing the loop with spreading the impact, shaping the ecosystem and fueling the next wave of thinking. Now for architects, intelligent architects today are the strategic orchestrators of possibility. I always say this, they are like the conductors in a music symphony orchestra. They don't really have to play orchestra, the conductor doesn't have to play the violin, he doesn't have to play the bass or the strings or the percussion instruments, but intelligent architects today, that is what they do. The conductors know when to bring the music, when to bring people to serve the right kind of music, and that is really what intelligent architects do today, playing alongside with the LLMs, the cloud platforms, the cloud infrastructure, the data platforms and the APIs. The architect knows when to adapt, when to intervene, whom to bring in. Right? And in fact, I was talking to Pradeep last week, and then he said this, Pradeep, I'm going to quote you, he said, modern architects, today's architects are no longer the Gandalf on the tower. They are the Dhoni behind the stump. They are calm, they are aware, they know they are reading the game and they are judging the field, and they are giving real-time guidance to the players on the field. So I think this is where the intelligence comes in for the architect. And this intelligence is what enables data architecture today as a strategic enabler. This intelligence is what embeds AI into digital experiences. This intelligence is what governs ethics, drives governance and ethics in a world of AI agents getting into autonomous decision making roles. Now with this intelligence being applied with purpose becomes impact. Right? And when I talk about impact, if intelligence is an architect's compass, impact is the footprint that the architect leaves behind. And when we talk about impact, we cannot move this slide without talking about our very own keynote speaker who is going to come in anytime, Dr. Pramod Verma, the man behind the digital public infrastructure of India. I over the last 15 years that he has been doing this and giving a lot of impact. Each and every time you and I do a eKYC using Aadhaar, every time you and I pass through an airport with DigiYatra, every time you and I fetch a document using DigiLocker, we use an e-sign, I don't think we are accessing a service. What we are actually doing is experiencing a beautiful, thoughtful, inclusive architecture that went behind a lot of these things. An architecture that was made to scale, resilient, robust, secure. And I think the most important question that it started with is more than the scale. I think it was a question that ignited the whole thing, like Pramod Verma says in a lot of his talks. How do we digitally enable a 1.4 billion population inclusively, securely, equitably? I think this question gave rise to the vision gave rise to the system today has become the digital backbone of India. Right? I think any impact doesn't have to be nation scale, it doesn't have to be at a billion population. Impact can even be designing a inclusive user flow. It can be about building trust into a surveillance system. I think it is the smallest act of thoughtful design is what creates the big ripples, the small ripples, and that really become the big impact. While we celebrate contemporary heroes like Pramod Verma, I personally believe that this curtain raiser of the Digital Architect Conclave cannot move on without paying a tribute to a lot of the visionaries and the unsung heroes that we have, on whose work today that you and I are standing upon. It can be from our very own Vishnupriya and Bhaskara, the sons of the soil from Karnataka, to the Alan Turing. In fact, as I speak, last month a lot of the Alan Turing awards for 2025 were given. I think it was Andrew Bartow and Richard Sutton, 2025 award winners. Their pioneering work in reinforcement learning, without which today we will not be talking about agentic AI, or an A.V. Vijayasan of 2024, or a Jack Dongara of 2021. And this is the work, the LINPACK work and all of that work that Jack Dongara does, is the backbone of the high performance computing that you and I are doing today. They may not be the most trending on social media, but their impact lives in our tools, their impact lives in our compilers, their impact lives in our runtime environments. Each and every time you and I compile a code, we run a simulation, we train a model, we optimize an algorithm. It is all the work of these visionaries and thinkers who have spent their lifetime researching, thinking and working about a lot of these things over their 50 to 70 years of their life. And I think that is the impact that we are talking about. And this is where thought leadership comes in. And when this impact echoes across lines, across departments, across organizations, across miles, it becomes influence. And this is where this conclave, that is what this conclave represents, and this is where thought leadership comes in. And this thought leadership is about what we are doing over the last 3 years, what we share about what works, what doesn't work, and the credibility that we bring in through a lot of contribution. What started as a very small, quiet conversation between me, Yogesh and Nishit in DXC campus in way back 3.5 years ago, today has grown into a community that we have today. Right? Today we have this, we started with 40 plus organizations, and today we are with 70 plus organizations, close to about 190 registrations today, and the number of awards that we continue to get in our transformative programs, building that business aligned capabilities is all thanks to our customers and the shoulders of the giants that we continue to stand on. And this is the influence that we talk about. And talking about influences, and I somehow feel, and this is my personal belief also, a lot of this growth and a lot of this success is always something that we say. The flicker is not, yeah. The growth, the success, all of this we personally believe comes with the right intent and the alignment. And I remember this the first, when I was putting up, when I was thinking about the growth that we have seen over the last couple of years, is something that I've heard almost every day in the Bharatanatyam class, what my teacher used to say. Yato hasta tato drishti. Yato drishti tato mana. Yato mana tato bhava. And yato bhava tato rasa. Where the hands move, the eyes follow. Where the eyes come in, the mind comes in. When the mind sets in, there is emotion. And when there is emotion, there is true essence. And I think that cannot fit in for a conclave or a community like this that we have done. Because we started this with the right intent. And when we started anything with the right intent, we get a lot of attention. And when there is a lot of attention, there emerges clarity. And when clarity deepens, authenticity roots in. And when authenticity roots in, a community is begun. And that is where we are today. And if we have to go beyond this and make this our India's own ACM, then all of us need to work with a collective will, with a wider purpose and a stronger impact. Right? And with that, I humbly thank all of you once again for being here on behalf of NIIT StackRoute. And I thank you all for your presence, for your perspectives, and for your purpose. Let's get started and let us architect emergence. Thank you all very much. Thank you.